Hey guys, this video is about macronutrients. The two things I want to cover in this video is one, what are macronutrients, and two, how many you should have. Okay, macronutrient number one, fats. Now, this is a macro that helps our body protect our organs and it helps with the absorption of essential vitamins and minerals. So without this macronutrient and not getting enough in our diet, we literally can't absorb all the really essential vitamins and minerals from other foods. So super essential macronutrient. It does have the highest amount of calories per gram out of all the three macronutrients. That's why you might find that foods high in fats are always more calorie dense. Okay, but people do find that when they're having enough fats in their diet, they generally are not craving and feeling quite satisfied. Now, when we're talking about fats, we're talking about all the good fats. So your unsaturated and your saturated fats and not your trans fat. So your other two fats are fats that we want in our diet. These like your avocados and nuts and seeds. And then you've got your saturated fats, which are like your things that solidify. So cheeses, coconut oil, butter, and things like meat. Think when you take meat off the fry pan and it solidifies on the pan when it gets cold. So all of those are saturated fats. So we can have a mixture of them. What we don't want is trans fats. So trans fats are those things like your deep fried chickens, your fried donuts, hot chips, all of those things that are deep fried, we don't want to have in our diet. They are literally so bad for us. They add no nutritional value whatsoever. They don't break down in the body very well. That's why they cause so many diseases. They're terribly bad for us. However, we know that things taste good. Love Wicked Wings. I get it. We still want to eat these foods just in moderation, but just understand that when we're talking about fats, we're not talking about trans fat. We're talking about all the good fats that we definitely need in our diet. Macronutrient number two is our carbs. Okay, this is probably the one that gets the biggest bad rap. There's so many weight loss programs and diets out there that discourage eating carbohydrates, but the key is to find the right carbs and to not avoid them, because carbs are absolutely essential. These are what our body uses for energy. Without carbohydrates, we don't function properly at all. Our energy levels, we become really tired, get brain fog. So carbs, our body breaks down really well to use as energy. It's the best energy source our body's got. So getting enough carbohydrates in your diet is essential for you feeling the best, and your body will break these down quite well. But there are two different types of carbohydrates. You've got your simple carbohydrates, which are like your lollies and your chocolate and your soft drink, and these things that are full of sugar, okay? And if your body doesn't break these down, can store and end up becoming fat, okay? Now you've got your complex carbohydrates, and these digest a lot slower, and these contain fiber. And fiber is what make carbohydrates so good for us. So fiber will keep us really full and will help to aid in digestion. Okay, and our last macronutrient, the one that we constantly harp on about, is protein. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time here because this is so essential, and I really, really want you guys to get a good understanding of this. So firstly, protein, guys, is absolutely everything. Your body needs protein simply to function. All living tissue is made up of protein. Okay, we're made up of essential amino acids you might have heard of, and that's what protein is. Okay, the body makes up a lot of amino acids in itself, but there's also 9 essential amino acids that the body does not make by itself and can only be supplied through diet. So your body does 3 things with protein. So it puts protein into fat stores, it uses it as an energy source, and it uses it to carry out all the vital functions it needs to. Now, protein calories will be used as an energy source when the body is lacking from fats or carbohydrates and use it as fuel. So if the body is not getting sufficient amounts of all the 3 macronutrients, then protein can't carry out its specific functions. And these functions are vital. Okay, these are things that we need. This is replacement of all old cells. So your body is made up completely of cells. Okay, the entire body is made up of cells. So without enough protein, it can't replace its own cells. It can't build muscle. Okay, organs, blood, nails, hair, skin, and tissue. These are all the functions that protein has in the body. And if you don't get enough protein, your body is not at optimal health because it can't function properly at all. So this is why it's so essential for us to get protein into your diet, guys. Also, the best thing is it keeps us the fullest, okay? It makes us the most satisfied. Protein, and also it burns the most amount of calories to break down, which means while you're eating and feeling full, you're also burning the most amount of calories. All right, and the last one that we want to talk about is your micronutrients. So I want to put this really simply, but micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals that are essential for the body to keep functioning. So dense amounts of micronutrients are found in all good fats, protein, and carbohydrates. So it's pretty much a mixture of foods. So that's what I've done here. You'll see at the bottom of this picture, you've got here calcium, vitamin B12, magnesium, iron, and vitamin C. These are just 5 of the many, many, many essential vitamins, minerals that we need. But I just thought this was a really good picture for you to see here, the breakdown of some micronutrients. There's micronutrients in all these different foods. So getting in a mixture of fats and protein and carbohydrates, all your veggies, everything, you're going to get a nice even amount of all the essential vitamin and minerals that you need. Now, I want you guys to really understand the importance of vitamins and minerals, because I think people hear about, my vitamins, my minerals, and no one really understands why these matter so much. Okay, one of the most important ones that you really don't want to get a deficiency in is vitamin B12. So especially vegans and vegetarians, super essential that you guys probably end up taking a vitamin B12 supplement, because pretty much impossible to get your B12 from food that isn't from an animal source. Really difficult. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is I just want you to understand the importance of this particular vitamin. So this develops or helps in the development of myelin sheath. Now, this is the insulated layer that forms around your nerves, so around the nerves in your brain and your spinal cord. Okay, and this is essential for the development of that myelin sheath. So without enough B12, your brain can't function the way it's meant to function. Okay, brain health is super dependent on B12, our digestive tract, our hormones, all our neurotransmitters. Okay, so if you become deficient in B12, a lot of people are seeing with neurological symptoms start to take place. Our energy systems start to break down and don't work properly. Okay, it starts to break down the cells in our tissue to get what it needs. So your body literally eats away at brain tissue just to get out enough B12 because it needs it. So what happens we then become deficient in something else because your body's breaking down parts of its body to get the vitamin mineral that it needs, and then we end up with these flow-on effect of all these deficiencies. So yes, people talk about fats, protein, and carbohydrates, but micronutrients are absolutely essential. And trying to get in a well-balanced diet of all the different foods, you're more likely to hit all your vitamin and minerals that you need. Now, the biggest thing people are probably wondering, how many do we need of each of these? I'm hoping from watching the last couple of minutes that you really understand that fats, protein, carbs, and micronutrients are all absolutely essential, and that we need all of them in our diet to be optimally healthy, well, at least optimally healthy with the food that we're eating, because that's what's going to make us energized and happy and get less sick and feel really motivated. So having a broad range of food and a good mixture of fats, protein, carbs are essential. But I understand that we are all after results and body composition and how we look. So that's why we always harp on about protein. So this is where you'd start, and this is how you'd work out how many you need. Generally, you want to sit between 1.6 and 2.2 grams of protein per body weight. Okay, so let's take Sarah as an example, and let's use her. So Sarah weighed 82 kilos. So if Sarah wanted to have 1.6, it would be 130. She did 2 times her body weight, it would be 164. She did 2.2, it would be 180. So Sarah wants to sit anywhere between 130 to 180 grams of protein per day. Now, the best way to pick this, where should you sit, 1.6 to 2.2, really is going to depend a little bit on your calorie intake. But if you are trying to sit at a deficit and lose fat, it's more important for you to get a higher amount of protein, so that protein can also be used as energy. So super important to get enough if you've got lower calories. So if a lot of people are sitting at a deficit, which we've been working out over the last few videos, then you want to get your protein closer to the 2 if we can. So obviously don't fret about this, guys, especially if you don't eat meat. It's going to be a little bit harder to get there, but just know in your head as close as you possibly can to the 1.6 would be great. Let's just say, Sarah's going to aim for 160 grams. Okay, that's easy. We'll just say 160 grams, about 2 times the body weight. She's going to aim for 160 grams of protein. This does not mean that 160 grams of protein is 160 grams of chicken, or 160 grams of beans is 160 grams of protein. Okay, when we're looking at this, 160 grams of chicken equals 45 grams of protein. 160 grams of beans equals 12 grams of protein. Okay, so if someone like Sarah was trying to get in 160 grams and she had 160 grams of chicken, I mean, she's only had 45 grams of protein. So she needs to have 4 times that amount to equal 160 grams. Now, in the last video, I did a video of how to use MyFitnessPal. This is the easiest way to do it. All you need to do is go in there, go to your goals, change it to the set amount of grams that you want to do, so you know your body weight. Okay, if you weigh 50 kilos, you're aiming for 100 grams of protein. You change that in the goals in MyFitnessPal to 100 grams. And then when you enter in your food, it'll work it out for you. Now, what do we do for the rest of the split? So if we take a look here, Sarah's protein is 40%. which means she's got 60% left over that she can make up with fats and carbohydrates. Now, the research shows that people get very similar results whether they have fats or whether they have more carbs. But what you want to be looking at is making sure that you eat enough carbohydrates so you feel like you've got enough energy for your day. And this can be a little bit of a trial and error. So, for example, let's take Sarah here. Both days are 1,790 calories. Okay, both her 40% protein is set because for Sarah, 40% of her protein is what equals 160 grams. She does one day where she tries a nice even split, 30% carbs, 30% of fats, and she feels set. She doesn't feel happy, she feels tired, brain fog, doesn't feel great. So instead, she tries another week and she tries to do 40% carbs and 20% fat, and she feels a lot better. So Sarah is now happy. So both of these days don't matter. They're both 1790. They're both the even amount of calories, but a slightly different split. She can also do the opposite of this and do 40% of fats and 20% of carbs. This does not matter, whatever you feel better with. Every single person is individual and there's no right or wrong. As long as you're sitting within your caloric needs that you've planned to sit at, you can really make that up with whatever you want. As I said in the previous video, this can be just chocolate and ice cream every single day. But the difference is you're not going to have enough energy, you're not going to train very hard. And as we've just talked about in this video, you're not going to be sitting at optimal health. You're going to be feeling like absolute crap. Okay, so what we want to really do ideally is look at being healthy and getting results. So if we can get a good mixture of fats, protein, carbohydrates, but making sure we're getting in our protein needs and getting two times our body weight, we're going to be feeling the best.